Hello, brothers and sisters. Will I tell you the legend of the Mad Harper of Cosby, Tennessee? People around these parks speak in whispers about a forest legend they call the Mad Harper. They say he haunts these woods to this day. He was a builder of harps. They say he was a hippie once, but in his youth he took a long look at things and started to warn people that the end was near. They laughed at him, of course, and he was driven from town by people who said he was crazy. He just smiled quietly. He bought land. He started a garden, put in some chickens. In time, he acquired a goat, a wife, and they took in some rescue children. They all worked in the garden while he crafted his amazing harps. They sang and feasted and danced with the seasons. They made bread and sausage and ginger beer. Nothing lasts forever. Great things pass away. Change is the only constant, all the wise men say. And they say that to this day you can go out in the woods and hear him playing his harp and laughing. The Great Smoky Mountains are home to a diverse range of natural systems and forests that support a variety of plant and animal species. The region has been shaped by a combination of geologic, climatic, and ecological factors, resulting in a rich and complex ecosystem. Thanks to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, the region remains as one of the most diverse and as yet relatively undamaged biotas in this end of the North American continent, an island in a growing sea of death. However, European settlement and modern society have had a significant impact on natural systems of the Great Smoky Mountains. The introduction of non-native species, logging, and agricultural practices have all contributed to the degradation of the forests and the ecosystems. One major issue facing the region is the impact of tourism. While tourism brings economic benefits to the area, it also puts pressure on the natural systems and resources. The large number of visitors can lead to overcrowding, erosion, pollution, and other negative impacts on the environment. In addition, the development of infrastructure to support tourism, such as roads, parking lots, lawns, and buildings, can further degrade the natural systems and habitats. This can lead to habitat fragmentation and loss, which can have serious consequences for the wildlife and plant species that depend on these ecosystems. Efforts are being made to address these issues and protect the natural systems of the Great Smoky Mountains. Conservation organizations and government agencies are working to restore damaged habitats, control invasive species, and manage tourism in a sustainable way that minimizes negative impacts on the environment. These issues have affected many species in the region, including both plants and animals. The loss of forest cover and the degradation of habitats have had a significant impact on many species, particularly those that require large areas of intact forest to survive. The black bear, for example, is one such species that requires large tracts of undisturbed forest for its habitat. As its range is reduced, this leads to more incidents of contact with encroaching humans. These contacts almost always turn out badly for the bear. As habitat loss and fragmentation continue, the populations of these species may decline or become isolated, making them more vulnerable to extinction. Another issue facing the Great Smoky Mountains is the introduction of non-native species, which can displace native species and disrupt the natural balance of the ecosystem. Examples of invasive species in the region include the hemlock woolly adelgid, which has devastated hemlock trees, and the emerald ash borer, which has killed millions of ash trees. Kudzu and wild pigs, released by hunters, are well known regionally. These invasive species can have cascading effects on the ecosystem, affecting other species that depend on particular tree species needed for food, shelter, and habitat. Tourism is also a major contributor to environmental degradation in the Great Smoky Mountains. The large number of visitors to the region puts pressure on the natural resources and habitats, leading to overcrowding, pollution, and other negative impacts. For example, the high volume of traffic on roads and trails can cause soil erosion, and the construction of buildings and infrastructure to support tourism can lead to habitat loss and fragmentation. This can have severe impact on species such as elk, which rely on large undisturbed areas of habitat for their survival. Finally, climate change is emerging as a significant threat to the Great Smoky Mountains and its ecosystems. Climate change is causing shifts in temperature and precipitation patterns, which can alter the distribution and abundance of plant and animal species. For example, some tree species may not be able to survive in the warmer and drier conditions projected for the future, leading to changes in forest composition. Similarly, changes in temperature and precipitation can affect the timing of events such as leaf emergence and flowering, which can have cascading effects on the ecosystem. Overall, the Great Smoky Mountains face a range of environmental challenges that require careful management and conservation efforts to protect the region's natural systems and the species that depend on them. Unfortunately, the Great Smoky Mountains, as other natural areas around the world, are often subject to the greed of developers and the indifference of local legislators. These individuals may prioritize economic gain over the protection of natural systems and the species that depend on them. One issue is that some developers may be more interested in profiting from tourism and other industries than in protecting the environment. They may prioritize short-term economic gains over long-term sustainability, leading to the construction of buildings and infrastructure that can have negative impacts on the environment. This can include deforestation, habitat destruction, and increased pollution. In addition, some local legislators may be influenced by the interests of developers and other industries rather than the needs of the environment and its inhabitants. They may deny the existence or severity of environmental problems such as climate change or invasive species, making it difficult to take effective action. To address these issues, this can lead to a lack of funding and support for conservation efforts, which can further exacerbate the problems facing the Great Smoky Mountains and other natural areas. Moreover, climate change denial is a significant problem that can impede efforts to address the environmental challenges facing the Great Smoky Mountains. Climate change denial ignores the scientific consensus on the causes and impacts of climate change, which can make it more difficult to take action to mitigate its effect. Climate change is a global issue that requires collective action and political will to address. Without recognition of the problem, it is unlikely that effective measures can be taken to protect the environment and the species that depend on it. Overall, the Great Smoky Mountains and other natural areas around the world require a collective effort from individuals, organizations, and governments to protect them from the greed of developers and the indifference of local legislators. This requires political will, investment in conservation efforts, and a willingness to prioritize the protection of natural systems and the species that depend on them over short-term economic gains.